Hi guys, Jake here. Just doing my annual wrap up of the year. Looking a little scruffier than usual, taking advantage of the 2 weeks off from teaching and sort of sinking into that winter break and just spending a quiet evening at home this year. Um, and this one is a little bit different. It's the end of 2019, which means that it's not just the end of a year, but the end of a whole decade, the end of the 2010s, 20-teens, however you want to put them. And this has been I guess you could say, rather transformative decade for me. So rather than just wrapping up what this year has been, although I'm going to cover that too, um, I want to sort of bring you guys up to date on what this past 10 years has been like. Both for me personally and for the Power Rangers franchise. Um, Back in 2010, when this decade first started, um, Power Rangers had been canceled. The last episode of Power Rangers RPM had aired December 26, 2009. And we were all looking forward to seeing, hey, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was going to be on the air again. And we couldn't wait to see what that meant, which apparently meant a lot of 60s Batman sound effects, and none of us saw that coming. Any more than any of us saw coming that Saban would be repurchasing the series from Disney. I don't think anyone has ever bought anything back from Disney before. And that we would get an extra 8 seasons of Saban Power Rangers, followed by it getting sold once again, this time to Hasbro. I don't think any of us thought that we would be getting all of those past seasons on DVD, seeing it all on Netflix, having a rather acclaimed Power Rangers comic book line, along with, you know, collectible collector's editions of figures both through the Legacy line and now through the Lightning collection. Seeing Power Rangers on the big screen again in the 2017 movie. None of that, I think any of us really saw coming 10 years ago. And it's crazy to think where the fandom is now compared to then. That we'd get, almost 200 episodes more of Power Rangers. And that we're currently looking at the launch of a new movie in a couple years. And beyond that, just the fan base has transformed so much from what it was. Everyone's now on Twitter and Discord and Facebook groups, and I mean, yeah, that stuff was starting to roll out 10 years ago, but back then it was mostly things like Ranger Board or Ranger Crew for people who remember that message board as well. I'm not even sure if they're still active. I apologize to Ranger Crew if they are, but I have not been on a message board in quite some time. Even though I was active back in the early 2000s, back in high school even. But yeah, we've had so many more Power Morphicons now. We've had 5 Power Morphicons this decade, after starting off with just that one in 2007, and then 2010 it came back, and I got to run the trivia competition for the first time, and now I've done that 5 times over, taking on increasing responsibilities with helping to run panels, meeting tons of people who have worked on the show, producers. Brian Casentini, who was the former now the former vice president of Power Rangers franchise, introducing himself to me, and me and Seamus getting to go see him at Saban Brands, and meeting him and Melissa Flores and Jason Bischoff and Paul Strickland and all the people who worked so hard to to keep that franchise going, even though several of them are no longer with the brand. So it's been just a crazy decade as a fan, experiencing all that. And when I look back also on where I was, not as a fan, but as a person 10 years ago, December 2009, MJ and I had only just moved in together. We'd just gotten our first apartment together. We'd been living there for 2 months. I was still relatively fresh out of college. I was about a year out of college, but still looking for steady employment. I was helping out at, I was getting freelance theater jobs, trying to get an animation portfolio together since I had been working as an animator for some time. Well, working towards becoming an animator, I apologize. Having previously done an animation internship, I had been trying to break into that industry, which is very difficult from the East Coast, trying to get into something that's largely a West Coast profession and not really having the financial stability to move out there. But yeah, I had been working freelance theater jobs. I was recovering from a sprained ankle from having taken a tumble in from the attic of a theater that I had been doing lighting on. And I just started working retail at a local department store. And for someone who had 2 bachelor's degrees, one in physics, the other in electronic media arts and communications, video and animation, basically, that was sort of a discouraging starting point, I guess you could say. I didn't feel like I was getting off on the right foot, literally in some regards, what with the sprained ankle. And I ended up working part-time retail for over a year and a half, almost 2 years. Before that fell through, I had been trying to work temp jobs. None of those lasted very long. I was selling knives for a full year, both as a salesman and then as an assistant manager. And then in 2012, after little 2 years, almost 3 years, I guess you could say, of trying to find employment with the animation industry and it not working out, and finding myself locked into doing sales and heading out on a whirlwind trip where I was going out to a knife selling conference, flying out to Power Morphicon 2012, and then flying back for the wedding of 2 of my best friends, who you Ranger fans may know as Justin and Sarah, the More Potsners. During that trip, I kind of had a sobering time where I realized my grandmother was going to be passing away soon. And I felt like I wasn't where I needed to be, doing what I wanted to do, and although I was surprisingly talented at selling knives, it was not the career I envisioned for myself. So I sort of got back to who I was and what I wanted to do. And I saw that I wasn't going to get the opportunities that I was looking for in animation, but I wanted to do something. And that was when I decided to start this channel. Doing Database Ranger's Power Reviews. Database Ranger being my online moniker for years, about 10 years at that point, ever since high school, when I sort of established myself as an online trivia master with Power Rangers, and I even had a little website called the Power Rangers Database, which was the reason that I first got my Yahoo user ID of Database Ranger. Not that I use Yahoo, or have used Yahoo, in a very long time. But I wanted to create this channel to have an outlet, a creative outlet, where I could see myself making things, creating stories that I was not finding other outlets for. And doing that brought me out of something of a funk, I guess you could say. I was not doing well, emotionally, financially, and I started doing this review series, talking about something that I had enjoyed for, at that point, almost 20 years. Something that I identified strongly with. And creating media around that, creating stories around that, gave me a sense of purpose and focus that I had been lacking since graduating from college. And within just a few weeks of starting, I ended my knife selling career, if you could call it a career at that time. I got a new temp job, one that was my first 9 to 5. I was handling data entry at State Farm, so for the next year and a half, not only was I being Database Ranger of Power Reviews by night, but by day I was Jake from State Farm. And yes, I still wear khakis. And in that year, I just pumped out over 40 episodes straight of Power Reviews. And within just a few months, I hit 50, 51, finished up year 0 and year 1 of Power Reviews incredibly quickly. I nearly burnt myself out. And it's fortunate I was able to work through that job, on the very little sleep that I was experiencing. But after that first year, I started recognizing that I needed to take care of myself a little bit more. I got a new temp job, with a little bit more responsibilities, a little bit higher pay. And in 2014, I proposed to MJ. After we'd been together for 8 straight years. It was our 8-year dating anniversary. And, we did our announcement on the channel, which, is great because I can always look back on that moment. And it's wonderful that we've been together for so long now. We've known each other for even longer. We've known each other for over 15 years, and we will have been dating for 14 years this February. So that's a wonderful thing. And I got to keep stepping up my storytelling with the show, keep doing more and more, until I, once again, sprained my ankle in 2015. Oh, man. I hope I'm not due for that. I hope this isn't an every 5 years thing that I sprain my ankle and it disrupts my life. Fingers crossed. I shouldn't have even mentioned it. But in 2015, right before that year 2 finale, the 2-parter, that was going to be the biggest thing we ever did, I sprained my ankle, and then it was time to get married. And then after that another new life-changing event, I got my first teaching job. Just sort of a, random happenstance, knew a person who knew a person, and I was all of a sudden a teacher for 2 years. During which time I could almost do no editing, no work on Power Reviews, something where I'd pumped out 78 episodes in, just under 3 years, and then had to lay off the gas big time. Although I did get to change things up that summer with our biggest, most successful video that we've ever done with Power Rangers Grid Defense, because at the time I didn't think that we were ever going to see an adaptation of Go Busters, and I decided, let's set this in the not-so-distant future of 2019, as I have often harped on being tremendously ironic. That was the year that I first met Brian Costantini. It was 2016. Both me and Seamus, who I got to work with as a writing partner for 2 great years, pumping out scripts, applying to the Nick writing program. We never made it in, but I learned so much through those experiences and made a very good friend along the way. And I kept finding ways to keep growing as a storyteller through writing, through working on Power Reviews, and through the development and production of Power Rangers Grid Defense. And that following year, in 2017, I got to hit the red carpet for the Power Rangers movie, and then the following week, helped my parents move down to Florida, because that's where I am in my life. We're all, getting older and making changes, and I ended up having to leave that teaching position, leave the place where we were living, find this new place that we've been living now for a little over 2 years, and I decided to finally, after finishing my second bachelor's in 2008 and having had a not so enjoyable attempt with grad school before that, decided that it was finally time to get back to school, work on my master's, work on my real teaching certification so that I could work the public school districts, and ultimately that led me to where I am now. 2 years later, I'm 1 semester away from finishing my master's. I am halfway through my 3rd year of teaching now. So this is my first year at a new school, a wonderful school, where I get to do very creative things while teaching students. I make little videos for them to set everything within a story, finding ways to make physics and math interesting and engaging, where I know I'm not always successful. I'm teaching the courses that, let's face it, everyone hates, regardless of who's teaching it. But I try to make it fun and make it interesting, and do that using the skills that I've slowly acquired over the course of the decade. This year I even managed to get back into Taekwondo after, back in 2010, I had been diagnosed with arthritis, and I didn't think I was ever going to get back into things. But here I am, a black belt in not just any Taekwondo style, but actually the original Taekwondo style that ever came to America. I actually received my first several belts from the original Grandmaster who first brought Taekwondo to the United States. And I was honored to receive my black belt this year from his daughter. And so I look back at where I was 10 years ago, with Power Rangers canceled, my sprained ankle, working part-time at a department store, not being able to get out anything creative that I wanted to do, And then I look at where I am now, where I'm teaching physics and math and co-teaching robotics and finding ways to incorporate video and animation and storytelling into those courses. And I'm trying to get a drama club up and running, and I'm living with my wife of over 4 years now. I have, this little room that I get to use as my filming studio to keep plugging out stories about Power Rangers. I've had a chance to meet the makers of Power Rangers on multiple occasions and have had great conversations with them. It's amazing how much can change in 10 years. So I sort of say this and ramble on like this in hopes that it can help other people out there who may not be where they want to be in their lives. Sort of have some hope that if you set your mind to doing something that you care about, that you enjoy, and you push through it, and you keep at it, you can find a way to the life that you want to have. And I'm not going to pretend that I'm fully there yet. This year, especially, I felt was a year of almost. 2019, I felt like I got very close to a lot of things that I wanted to have happen. That didn't work out. I only was able to get out 2 episodes of Power Reviews this year. That was a major disappointment, but that was the state of things with graduate school and the new teaching job and scrambling to try and accommodate for my actors and their evolving lives. They're married, they're having kids, they're having new lives, moving on to new places, and trying to accommodate for that can be a challenge. But I did still manage to produce some great work. I'm very proud of the 2 conversations and context videos that I released, talking about important topics like representation for individuals with autism, which I got to work on alongside who you know as Pocky Squirrel, our friend Liz. Realizing this past decade that I'm on the spectrum, and that informs so much of the stuff that I work on. And also our video on the definition of fascism, recognizing that there's things in this world that are problems, and those problems need to be addressed. And a lot of people have fallen into some very bad paths that are harming a lot of others. And that's been a struggle these last few years. And I want to keep producing important content like that, and keep it rolling, and finish Power Reviews. I do intend to finish it. I know it seems like it may never happen sometimes, but a lot of things seemed like they might never happen. And I've managed to keep pushing through that. And I hope to keep pushing through that. And I'm hoping that this next decade will see even more wonderful changes. 2019 has been a year of almost. Including some lifelong dreams of mine that I got very, very, very close to. But didn't quite stick the landing. But I feel like maybe next year I might get even a little closer. And each year, I'm just going to keep, I guess, chipping away at the marble that is time and sculpt out the life that I really want for myself. It's getting closer every day. And so I've got a lot of big goals for 2020. I'm going to be getting my master's. That's on the agenda. Going to be getting my certification both in physics and math, because I've found out that that is a possibility, and I would like to do that. Look into wherever we might move next after this apartment. We're not going to stay here forever. And seeing what comes next for Power Rangers. And seeing what I can do to maybe have a hand in that in some little way. And as far as Power Reviews goes, I've got some big goals for that too. I'm very close to finishing all of the scripts. They've all been worked on in some way or another. But I've got the big goal of trying to see if I can knock out, as unrealistic as it feels right now, see if I could get myself to 95 by the end of next year. I haven't been making that kind of headway lately, but because I've been working on things very piecemeal as of late, I do have a lot of little pieces spread out that have been filmed along the way. So, as I keep knocking things out, yeah, once I have everything filmed for 89 and 90, which I'm pretty much there on, then I'll also be filming at those times things for 91, 93, 95, 99. The episodes, I'm hoping, will be fully filmed by the end of the summer because they're almost fully written. And I've got things shot for a bunch of different people, for a bunch of different episodes, for a bunch of different things. If I could finish filming by the end of the summer, and I'm going to have a summer again, without having to, worry about trying to get the masters and all that business, or a whole host of other things that have kept me busy in the past, I might have a shot at getting this thing wrapped up. So, I've been rambling on a good long while, but I hope that gives you guys an idea of what we have planned for DR Productions moving forward. You can still expect live reactions from us. We'll be back next week with continuation on Ryusoulger, which has been not the best series, but Beast Morphers has been a delight. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the live chat again when Beast Morphers resumes for the new year. And I can't wait to see what Power Rangers brings us next after Beast Morphers. We have no idea. There's like 6 different Sentais it could be. So, I wish I could be a part of that. Maybe sometime in this next decade. So, until next year, until next decade, until next time, farewell, Ranger fans, and let the power protect you.